Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Africa Today. We are bringing you all the related news, political, economic, and social news of all the social and all the issues related to the African continent. There are actually in this week very important economic and political news concerning the African continent. First of all, of course, a very important meeting on the sideline of the General Assembly's annual meetings of this round of the General Assembly's meeting, the 79th meeting. Very important meetings with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Badr Abdelati, with the African ministers over there. Also, we got you news about the latest catastrophic humanitarian issues in the Sudanese country because, of course, of the civil war over there. We are also going to discuss the Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashrat, her meetings also with the Ambassador Cliver Gattet, with Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, on the sideline of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly and the Summit of the Future in New York. The discussion focused on the UNECA's first mission to enhance the economic and social developments of its members, of course, member states, and to promote regional integration and interaction with Africa and foster the international cooperation to support the continent's developments. So this is what we are discussed right away, but after this short break with this report.
On his first visit around the region since his appointment, Jalil Trapasi, the Special Envoy of the African Development Bank, praised Egypt's crucial role in advancing the continent's regional integration agenda and fostering trade and investment. While meeting with Rania Al-Mashrat, the Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, the officials explored the recent efforts by the Egyptian government to navigate the complex global economic landscape encountered over the past 3 years. According to a ministry statement, discussions centered on the long-standing partnership between Egypt and the AFDB, which dates back to 1974, with the bank's development cooperation portfolio in Egypt now valued at approximately $7.79 billion. Al-Mashrat highlighted a new government initiative announced in July 2024 at bolstering macroeconomic stability and facilitating structural reforms that stimulate the private sector. This program seeks to invigorate the private sector and create a competitive economy attractive to investors while advancing essential infrastructure and service projects. For his part, Trapasi commended Egypt's influence in addressing regional crises and its proactive measures to enhance trade and investment across Africa, acknowledging Egypt's vital contribution to stability on the continent. The ministry treated Egypt's ongoing contributions to the AFDB's financial resources since 2010, emphasizing its position as a regional donor in the last 5 sources. The minister also discussed the bank's potential support for Egypt's private sector and opportunities for collaboration through the Hub for Advisory, Finance and Investment for Enterprises platform.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and to shed more light on this, we are delighted to get over the phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Your Excellency, it's our pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
So it's such a very important meeting with the Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashrat, with the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. They discussed, of course, the bilateral relations and all the means of integration with the African countries. So, according to the report issued by the Business African Today, was ranked the first in the list of top African countries with the greatest soft power influence over the world in the year 2024. So, can you just elaborate us or to tell us more about this?
Yes, I have 2 remarks here. Yep. First, that Africa is the poorest continent in the world. Meanwhile, the flow of money, I always say that the flow of money from Africa to the developed countries is much more than it receives, because it pays its debts, it pays its invoice of imports, more than it attracts foreign direct investment or it attracts as exports from Africa. The second, as we are talking about Dr. Rani al-Mashrat, Egypt is the most attractive country for development assistance. Why? Because we are the best with dealing with what we get of assistance from all our partners, whether it is the United States or Europe or the Arab world. That's why our voice is well received there. Now we are trying to convince those donors countries that to come and to invest in Africa with the Egyptian experience, with the foreign European or American or Chinese or Japanese experience. This is the trilateral cooperation we are calling for. Same time, we have years ago a sort of a decision from the donors country to give the recipient countries 1% of their GDP. But not one country has reached this goal except the North Europe countries like Sweden, or a country like Arabia Saudi, which is helping in Africa a lot and in many countries. So we have to continue this sort of dialogue in order to attract more investment. And investment is very important to us because it is the right option instead of borrowing. We hate borrowing. So let us open our countries for more and more foreign direct investment.
Yep. Your Excellency, Egypt is always talking on behalf of the African continent, on behalf of all the African countries, in all the international organizations, UN, Security Council, etc. So when we talk about the Egypt is always asking for just finance and funding for the African countries to combat the climate change. So how do you just find the pivotal and crucial role of Egypt in the African countries, especially in exchanging experience as we are over there with our Egyptian countries, Egyptian banking sectors? We are trying really to invest to planet agriculture in all fields. We are actually there. How do you just find this such crucial role in Africa?
This is very important because, as you well know, Egypt is the most represented country in Africa. We have a long history with them since the Pharaonic period, and we have sent our ships along the western coast of Africa and the eastern coast of Africa. And I visited many African countries where some people would be telling you that they are proud that they have Egyptian origin, Pharaonic origin even. Then during the time of Muhammad Ali Pasha and the discoveries of the River Nile from its beginning, that was another effort. Then Gamal Abdel Nasser and his help to the liberalization process, and we have a very good reputation all over Africa in this sense. We helped them to have their independence. And now we have also our Egyptian agency for investment in Africa. But it needs more and more capital in order to be able to cover all the goals and the projects which we imagine we can do. So we are doing our best, and the task is not easy. It is very difficult because also on our side we have to do our homework. We have to do a lot to ameliorate our banking system. It's not the type you would like to deal with. Our transport system, our ports needs many improvements. Our bureaucracy is killing any investor, as a matter of fact, in Africa. So
Yep.
while we are asking the donor to do his work, we have to do our homework also.
Yep. Your Excellency, Egypt is actually acting as an international peace strategic partner worldwide. But in particular, within the African continent, Egypt is trying to do exerted efforts, especially to solve the crisis in Sudan, in Somalia. As President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he announced several times, and he stressed the importance of the solidarity and sovereignty of Somaliland and Somalia. Also in Sudan. How do you find that pivotal role in promoting and preserving security and peace in the African continent?
We were everywhere. Whenever you have a problem in Africa, Egypt is there, even with our army to protect the peace process. And we are hosting here Gamal, the son of the famous head of Ghana. He is now Egyptian citizen. And we have a good reputation in Africa, and I always have the privilege of being treated as super ambassador whenever I need to see anybody, any responsible or official, wherever I go in Africa. So we have to do that also. We have to continue this process. And thank God that we have very good reputation representing Africa and also advising Africa what to do in order to being more developed and more attracting to direct investment and to trade.
Yep. Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, a former Assistant Foreign Minister, thanks for being with us. It was real pleasure. And actually, as we mentioned, the outbreak of the civil war in Sudan and the crisis of the humanitarian situation over there, we are announcing here the UN expresses disappointment over extension of South Sudan's transitional period to 2027. Nicholas Haysoon, head of the United Nations mission in South Sudan, expressed deep regret as the UN backed the extension of South Sudan's transitional period until February 2027. What does it mean? So what we are going to find out within the next report.
Head of the United Nations mission in South Sudan, Nicholas Haysoon, expressed deep regret on the UN-backed the extension of South Sudan's transitional period until February 2027. Speaking of an extraordinary meeting of the reconstructed Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission in Juba on Wednesday, Haysoon remarked that while the UN will endorse the extension of the transitional period, they do with real regret and disappointment. The meeting, attended by government officials, diplomats, regional stakeholders, civil society representatives, and the UN, focused on decision to prolong the transition in South Sudan, initially set to end in 2024. Haysoon underscored the same issue arose 2 years ago, stating 2 years ago they were in an identical situation as they are today, and gave their support, especially under the condition that there would be no more extensions. South Sudan continues to face numerous challenges, including a stagnant peace process, severe economic hardships, and widespread flooding, all of which have hindered progress. Crucial milestone outlined in 2018 peace agreement remain unmet. In his concluding remarks, Haysoon called on South Sudanese leaders to prioritize the nation's interests and work towards an inclusive peace process. The extension now places significant pressure on South Sudan's leadership to implement lasting reforms and lead the country toward its long-delayed elections.
Actually, miserable humanitarian conditions over there in Sudan and in other spots in the African continent. Well, by this we come to the end of our today's edition of Africa Today. Dear viewers, we wish you enjoyed it with us. So many thanks for watching. Goodbye.